Welcome to the Mindfulness-Based SEL Micro-Credential Program, Foundational Learning Modules with Khayree Bey. Today, I'm going to introduce neuroscience and the nervous system. Objectives for this micro-credential. After this learning module, you will be able to 1. Define neuroscience and the nervous system. 2. Neurons and the basics of neuroscience. 3. Neuroplasticity and the healthy role mindfulness plays. First, let's define neuroscience and the nervous system. Neuroscience is the scientific study of the nervous system and its parts. It has two parts: the central, which is the brain and spinal cord, and the peripheral, which are our nerves. You can break the peripheral down into two parts also: the sensory division, which is our 5 senses, and they send signals to the brain. Then there's the motor division, which sends signals from the brain throughout the body. The motor division also has two parts: the somatic, which is our deliberate motions, and the autonomic, which is the involuntary motions. The autonomic has two divisions also, and that's the sympathetic, which is our fight, flight, or freeze mechanism, and the parasympathetic, which is our rest and digest. Neurons and the understanding of basic neuroscience. Neurons are the basic building block of the brain. The brain's ability to change, grow, or shrink is called neuroplasticity or neurogenesis, and I'll cover that a little bit later. The brain is made up of 1 billion neurons, give or take, and these neurons communicate information with each other through connections called synapses. And we have about 1 quadrillion of these synapses. When teaching the basic neuroscience, I use 3 different methods, depending on the grade level or the background information that teachers may have. The one is the upstairs brain and the downstairs brain, where you kind of make the brain into a house, the downstairs brain being your emotions and your instincts, and the upstairs brain being your thinking region of your brain, where all the big brain decisions, like I like to say to the kids, are made. The next, I'm going to kind of combine these two. One is the 3 regions of the brain. The other is Dan Siegel's hand model of the brain. So let me adjust my screen here. If you put your hand up and you use your hand as the spinal cord, the brain stem, also known as the primitive brain or the reptilian brain, this is the area where your instincts, you're always looking for hazards and dangers, and also takes care of basic body functions such as heart rate, breathing, balance, and coordination. The next is the feeling region of the brain, also known as the limbic brain or the mammalian brain. In the limbic brain, we have several parts that we're going to cover: the amygdala, hippocampus, and hypothalamus. Now, up top is that human brain, also known as the thinking brain. That's where the prefrontal cortex is housed, and that's usually right there, right above your eyes in your brain there. Now, when we're triggered, stimuli from outside, a danger, a hazard, that's when that primitive brain sends signals to the emotional brain, and they kind of hijack the brain, causing you to flip your lid. At that point, you're being run by your instincts and emotions instead of your thinking part of your brain. Now, that's where mindfulness comes in and some of the other self-care practices, those deep breaths, because it puts a little bit of space between what triggered you, what that stimuli was, and your response instead of reaction. Because a response is coming from that prefrontal cortex and not your emotions and your instincts. Now, I spoke about neuroplasticity earlier. Neuroplasticity is the ability of the brains to change or shrink, grow, from creating new neural pathways and shrinking or pruning others. The brain scan studies that have been done for the last 20 years, they have come to find that mindfulness increases the number of neurons and synapses in the prefrontal cortex area. That's that thinking region of the brain. Mindfulness also shrinks the amygdala, which is the part of the brain responsible for flipping your lid during your fight, flight, or freeze response. One of the other tools that I use is the growth versus fixed mindset. Now, this has been a big topic within teaching for many years now. And to make it a little bit more understanding for my students, I always break it down into your inner coach or your inner critic. Your inner critic is that voice in your head that tells you that you shouldn't even try. You can't do this. They don't like you. You're going to fail. I try to get them to listen to their inner coach. Their inner coach is that voice inside or that trusted adult that tells them to try. Don't be afraid to step outside your box. Don't be afraid to fail, giving you an opportunity to learn and reflect. I also teach them a mindful, social emotional coping practice. Now, we do a formal practice every day, which usually lasts anywhere from 3 to 10 minutes, depending on the grade, age, and how the day is going. Middle school is a tough place. After the formal practice, which we do all types of body scans, meditations, also walking meditations, eating meditations. We also do a informal practice that I like to call mindful ninja or mindful magi. I use those two because the students really enjoy anime, so they really are big on the magi, and they're also very familiar with ninjas because of many of the cartoons that have been out there. So it makes it relatable. And if you're a mindful ninja or magi, you have three tools: two staffs and a shield. The first staff is a trusted adult in the building, and that works for school settings, having a trusted staff member that students can rely on during tough times or when they need a break. The other staff is a acronym that stands for stop, take a breath, analyze the situation, focus. And the first F is focus because I want them to focus on that shield. And in that shield are four parts. The one part is deep abdominal breathing. The next is emotions. At the bottom, it's thoughts. And on the left side there, it's body sensations. So when they focus, I want them to focus on their breathing, focus on their emotions, focus on their thoughts, and then focus on their body sensations, all the while taking those deep abdominal breaths, creating that space between trigger or stimulus and your response, which you're using your thinking part of your brain instead of a reaction, which is your emotional and instinctive part of your brain. That last F stands for future, and it's a positive one with them in it, where they meet their needs, wants, and goals. And that all comes from being able to put that space in between your triggers and making a good decision. We're going to do a short mindfulness practice. Now, one of the easiest ways to implement a mindfulness practice in your classroom that I've found, and I use this when teaching other students across the district and across the nation that I've done this with. It is called Focus 5, and I'm going to share the link at the end. Focus 5 is about 6 or 7 scripts that you can learn, which will also allow you to create your own formula practice that you can actually sit there, make your own, alter a little bit, meeting your personality, allowing you to kind of make that connection with your students because you know what they're into. So we're going to do their one of the first ones that they have, and it's the deep breathing one. Now, I invite you to join me in this by sitting up straight, aligning your head, neck, and spine, putting your feet flat on the floor if you can, if not, crossing them at the ankles, placing your hands comfortably in your lap or on your knees. I invite you to close your eyes if you feel comfortable. If not, lower your gaze so that you can concentrate a little bit easier. And just like with my students, because some do not want to participate, and this is an option, is just to put your head down quietly and not disturb the practice. At the sound of the bell, I'm going to guide you through 5 deep abdominal breaths. At the sound of the bell, we'll begin. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more time with me. Inhale. Hold it. And sigh it out. Go back to breathing on your own. Slowly relaxing your neck and your shoulders. Now relax your arms and your hands. I want you to let go of any tension you may be feeling in any part of your body. Breathe in slowly through your nose, like you're smelling hot chocolate, filling your lungs with air, and slowly letting that breath go. Exhaling out of your mouth, like you are cooling it off. Now, I want you to shift your breathing so that you breathe in through your nose and out through your nose, keeping your breath even, slow, and deep. I want you to follow your breath through your nose as it fills up your lungs. Feel your lungs and diaphragm expand. Then follow your breath as you exhale and your lungs deflate. Keep breathing calmly for a couple more moments. I'm going to ring the bell. I want you to blink your eyes 3 times, bringing yourself back to the moment. If you haven't already, blink your eyes 3 times, bringing yourself back to the moment. Thank you for participating in that mindful moment with me. Lastly, I'm going to share my last slide with the resources that you can use to get started on your journey into mindfulness, neuroscience, and the nervous system.